Mississippi misses the mosquitoes.
Hello and welcome to the Nerd Age Podcast. This is a show where four dudes talk nerdy to each other. I'm your host, Jonah, and I'm here with Corey.
Yo, what up?
Josh.
What's up?
And the triumphant return of Mick.
Hey,
Oh, he's back, baby.
Wow.
What's up?
The four horsemen of the apocalypse are back together.
He
right.
survived a tsunami and a cruise.
Hey, life has changed.
And he's back.
In big ways.
back and bigger than ever.
Exactly. well,
Jonah knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
don't be mean to yourself, buddy.
It's the sweatshirt.
We're excited to be back together. We're going to discuss. We got some news things we're going to cover. But before we do, subscribe and like below. If you're on YouTube, Corey does a great job of doing some videos and posting them up. You do a great job.
Thanks, man.
So subscribe and like, share it with your friends. We're going to jump in. Last week, we did our first ever trailer talk. Trash or blast. And we've got two trailers that we're going to discuss today. The first one is Madam Web, which dropped. Spider Universe going crazy. So I don't know who I'm going to start with. Actually, I do. We're going to start with Josh.
Okay.
Josh is going to give us our first impressions of what he thought about the trailer.
Yeah. It was a trailer for sure.
Whoa.
And I feel like we talk about this with all the Sony Spider-Mans.
Spider-Man's.
Yeah,
all the Spider-Man universe movies that don't have Spider-Man in it somehow.
Yeah.
And they're all like throwback 90s superhero movies.
They do feel like that.
Okay. Is that bad?
No.
It can
Kinda.
be. It can
It
be,
can
Matt.
be.
It can be done
It's a
wrong.
risk, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm right in the middle here, but there's no little or...
No, it's either a blast
It's either a blast or a...
or trash.
there's
Or trash.
Yeah.
Is trash the bad one?
Yes.
You want to blast the other one away? No, we're having a blast. We're having a blast.
Am I giving my verdict on this one?
Yeah, you are. You're just going.
It's trash.
Okay.
Oh,
It's trash.
dang.
Do you want a little...
Trash.
There you go.
I think what Corey said is only when we've all decided what it is.
My bad.
You jumped the gun, but it's okay.
It's fine.
All right, Mick.
Where's the ejection seat button?
Yeah, it's that one there.
What do you think of the trailer? Do you agree with Josh that it was trash, or are you like, no, this was a blast?
Absolutely a steaming pile of trash.
Oh,
Whoa.
there you go,
goodness.
steamer.
I don't know
And he
why.
loves Spider-Man. But
I don't know why.
Spider-Man.
I don't know why they keep focusing on movies that aren't for the characters that people want
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know who's been begging for a Madam Web
No one.
movie.
That's
And it doesn't even look like she's, at least what we saw in the trailer, it's not even so far comic accurate.
Yeah.
Well, she hasn't gotten there yet. Okay.
Yeah.
She's not old
She'll
yet
get a chair.
I hope she better be blind and in a chair by the end of the movie.
with gray hair.
Yeah, with gray hair. But yeah, I don't know. It just looked terrible. It looked bad. The only part that looked cool was Ezekiel Sims, and I don't know how accurate that will be, but he's a really cool character in the comics. So
He's the villain.
he looks like he's playing the villain in the movie. He's more of an anti kind of hero in the comics, turn kind of villain, but this just seems like he's the Terminator of some women or something.
Yeah,
I don't really
some
know.
women.
Yeah, the thing about this trailer is I felt like it showed a ton of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it was like, this is how it starts. This is when she gets her powers. These are the other girls that are all going to have powers. Oh, there's the look at them in their suits. And then, they're fighting at the end. And I was just like, you kind of basically showed the whole aspect, the whole plot of the movie.
It's weird because it feel like they showed a lot, but at the same time, I don't really understand who she is from the trailer. I know who she is from the comics and from other animated stuff, but I don't think the trailer did a good job at giving you we're laying the ground now for this character. Like, I don't know what her powers are. I don't know what she is.
You go back in time.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't seem very clear to me.
Yeah, and there were some things that came out that were like, speculation, like, is that Uncle Ben? Who's the baby that saved Is that what Peter Parker is that? Is that Tom Holland? Is that Andrew Garfield? So there's kind of that speculation, but I'm agreeing with both of you. This trailer was trash. It didn't get me excited. It didn't get me I thought Craven was better. I was more interested in watching Craven. This one didn't get me excited to watch it. Corey, are you going to be a voice in the wilderness, the voice of reason?
I mean, I'll tell you what. Here's the one good side of this is that I don't have to watch 6 to 8 episodes of this.
That's
point.
true. One and
I
done.
just get a one and done, and we done. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look great. I mean, what's her name? Dakota Fanning? Is that who?
Dakota,
Oh,
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Fanning is the real little. Well, she's
Not little
She's old
anymore,
now,
but yeah,
bro.
she was in I Am Sam.
Dakota. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like the type of movie that I'd be interested in.
Yeah.
I think there's some stuff that could be cool, but predicting the future kind of stuff. It's like
Yeah, you hate the future and stuff.
not my.
You hate
number-
time travel.
Yeah, so if it was like Einstein like directing it, then I'd be like, all right, cool. He's qualified.
Or Nolan.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
He does time stuff all the time.
Yeah, Tenet was cool.
So you giving this a trash as well? We all in agreement?
Run it.
Hit me with that trash bag.
Trash.
I will say the suits look cool. I thought the suits looked cool.
And what we saw was kind of like, I mean,
But
which
yeah.
one looked cool?
Like
Well, I mean the one with the
the metal spider legs?
Iron Spider looking ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
Like, yeah.
I feel like I didn't see enough to be made to make a.
The funniest line is, "My mother disappeared when she was." What is it? Investigating spiders in the Amazon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And he was there too. And it's like, bro, you guys are like saying the whole movie.
Okay. That's
What is
fun.
happening?
Hey.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Next trailer
Trash, dude.
that we've got is What If Season 2. We'll start with Mick this time. Mick, what do you think of the trailer for What If Season 2?
I thought it looked pretty interesting. This series is kind of up in the air with like how much I care about it because I don't know if it really matters or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to remember from last season, but it seemed like it tried to tie into stuff with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But if it just, they're just having fun with it,
Yeah.
then it's fine. Visually, it looks pretty interesting. Is it 8 episodes again?
9.
9 episodes. It looked fun. I had a good time with the first season, so I'll say blast.
Nice. Corey,
What was
what do
it
you
again?
think?
Yeah, I mean, some of the characters seemed cool. A lot of them, most of them returning from their previous episodes or whatever. So, I don't mind them trying crazy stuff. That's the whole purpose of this. So it's I'm in it. I'm ready to. I want to be surprised and wowed and entertained. So yeah, I'm blasting off, baby.
Nice. Choop, what do you think?
blast.
I'm the same way. I really like the first season of it, and I don't really care that it doesn't connect. I honestly like that
Yeah,
better.
that's the whole
That they can just do whatever they want. And last season, like the Doctor Strange episode, is probably my favorite thing Marvel's
Really
ever
good.
done.
Yeah.
So I'm
Ever.
I think the episodes look cool from what we saw. As Odin looks cool. Like
Yeah,
to
he
see,
looks sick.
to see Odin actually do something will be kind of cool. But yeah, I'm giving it a blast.
Nice.
Blasting off.
And
Yeah.
Hell is going to be back too, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, I
Hella
agree with you
cool.
guys.
Nice, my guy.
I agree with you guys. This one was a blast for me. The first season, I think, was hit or miss. There were some good episodes and then other ones that were like meh. But I think the thing that really excites me about this is I like the animation. I think it's really cool. It's a unique way to do something different. And like you guys said, I hope it doesn't try to connect. It seemed like it was trying to be like, there's more of a through line through these. And I kind of don't want there to be. I just want it to be individual episodes that just are their own crazy thing and then not have to explain like how it connects. But, there's probably going to be one where Loki's like, in every episode, they'll show Loki holding, the thread there being like, yeah, that was cool.
I did forget about this, but they have like this episode where it's like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Like Mad Max
Yeah, it was
Mario
like
Kart.
Death
I was
Race.
like, okay, what is this? That's the only one where I was like, okay. But
Guaranteed they're going to have Star-Lord go, woohoo!
oh my
That would be
god.
amazing.
Easter egg. Hey, so blast off.
And then Seth Green's
Let's blast
in there.
off.
Oh, what a blast.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm so
He
excited.
got shot by the laser.
Jeez. Yeah, we should have put the Wilhelm scream in there. That's a mistake. I'll have to add that in for next time. That'll do it for
Trailers. Oh.
trailer talk. Even though we didn't play the theme song. Why do we have cup holders with no
move it out.
with no cups,
off, bro.
no drink?
That's a.
Our host has failed us
That's your
today.
fault.
Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
The the next thing we're gonna go into is just some random news. I wanted to talk a little bit about Taika Waititi. He had an interview last week where he talked about Star Wars, and apparently he still is doing his Star Wars movie, which I thought it was dead. But one of the things he said in the interview was that he was working on a Star Wars movie, and he was like, he's like, I know I'm gonna piss a lot of Star Wars fans off. So I immediately was like, okay,
Music to my ears.
like that's if you're going into it saying that, like, why are you making this?
Right.
So whatever. I was like, okay, next thing. But then today in an interview with Variety, he had this to say, which just made me be way more like, get rid of him. Don't let him near Star Wars. This is what he says, and I want to get your reaction. It says, I had no interest in doing one of those films. He's talking about Marvel films. But I was poor, and I just had a second child, and I thought, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to feed these children. And Thor, let's face it, it was probably the least popular franchise. I never read Thor comics as a kid. That was a comic I'd pick up and be like, ugh. And then I did some research on it. I was still baffled by this character. So his quote is basically like, Thor sucked, and I only did it for money.
Yeah.
And coming off a movie that a lot of people were like, man, they completely destroyed Thor's character. He's a joke. He's just a buffoon. You took any emotion that he had. And to then him have this quote where he's like, I just did it for the money. I needed a paycheck, and I didn't like the character. Now it makes me be like, don't let this guy near Star Wars. Like, Dave Filoni, if you're listening to me, cut ties right now. Don't let him near. What do you guys think of these comments, and how do you react to after watching the recent Thor? We reviewed it on the show, and you guys weren't big fans of it.
Yeah, I don't think I needed to hear him say that. I could already feel it in his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like he didn't take the character seriously. Like, he did some things that I'm sure a lot of people took it as artistic and interesting with the character, but for me, it just kind of, nerfed him down to kind of like just a regular dude. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense with Taika. Yeah. I mean, I've never been a big fan of him at all. So, but we are gonna. Yeah, you did say the Dave Filoni thing, but that is the news we'll talk at the end. But I don't know. I mean, it technically still has to go through him.
Yeah.
So, gives me a little bit more confidence. But Taika, nah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh?
I mean, I was already in the same boat. Like we hadn't heard a lot about this movie, and I was like, good. Hopefully they just like canceled it quietly. And then like the last couple of weeks, there's been kind of rumblings about it. So, it's not. Apparently, what he also said is that it's going to be like 4 projects away from what he like. So he's going to have like 4 other movies that he's going to work on before this ever comes out.
So it's way off.
So like, hopefully it's like.
Well,
hopefully it's like 100 projects.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they just don't get to it. They're like, you know what?
Yeah, I think
it's not working out.
Yeah, it's not it doesn't fit in what we're doing. But yeah, just the stuff he says about Marvel, it's like, I would love to see like a reaction of his like agent or his PR people that are like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why would you go out and say this?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to watch a movie that's gonna piss me off.
Yeah, and you're literally just pissing off a bunch of fans that people like the Marvel, and then they're like, oh, you like are basically just like did it as a joke kind of a thing. Like, oh, whatever, I don't care about this. It seems bold strategy, Cotton.
It's very arrogant. Very arrogant. He strikes me as super arrogant.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, hey, I made money. I do my own thing now. Like, I have everyone knows my style of movies. Like, I get away with what it's just kind of,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird when you work in the entertainment industry. Like, if you talk to like professional athletes, it's like they're trying to like entertain the fans. They do it for their fans. They appreciate their diehard fans, and it's like he has no connection to that at all. He doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I don't know, it feels backwards. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm like, especially when he says his comments like, "Oh, like what can you tell us about your Star Wars movie? It's gonna make a lot of people angry." Then I'm like,
It's probably because he doesn't know.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm like, here's
Probably
the other
default.
thing. He had an interview where he had no idea that
Darth Vader was
Natalie
Luke's dad?
that Natalie Portman was in the Star Wars movies.
Oh yeah.
And so that was this whole thing where he's like, "What? He's like, you in the Star Wars movies?" So I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why are you hiring a dude that's not really a fan of something?" I know you don't have to be a fan to make a good movie,
Yeah.
but I think that's a bonus, right? If you hire somebody and they're like, "Man, I really love this kind of stuff," and you treat it with the characters with respect, that's a bonus. I think his whole comment with Thor. And again, I'm not the biggest Thor fan, but I did like the character. Like, it's not like I grew up reading Thor comics, but there are people that did, and there are people that really like that character. And to then just kind of be like, you know what, I'm just going to make him a goofball and kind of do this whole thing where he has no real emotional value. Like, he just goofs off. Like, even when people are dying around him, he's making jokes. That to me is like, that really affects people to be like, hey, that's the character I like. Like, it's like if it's kind of to me what happened with the Joss Whedon, the Justice League, right? Yeah. I really like these characters and they become jokes or just something that you're like, that's not the character that I invested in and I love. So Mick, what do you think of his comments and anything to add on this?
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't think you have to be a fan of the franchise to be in that position to make a movie, but you know, don't then go completely the opposite side of the spectrum and just piss people off just for the sake of pissing people off, which with those comments, that's what it does to people. That's what it does to me. It's just annoying, but it's weird because he has made movies that I like. I think Jojo Rabbit's good. Boy is good. Like, there are elements in those movies that are very emotionally impactful and just hits you in the feels. And I know he's capable of doing stuff like that. But if he's already having this mentality of, well, this is gonna piss, it's like, okay, well, I'm not interested then. Like, why start off on that foot?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And Star Wars, Lucasfilm has already, I felt like, gone down this road with Rian Johnson, and because he's always been pretty clear about like, well, haven't really been a fan.
And subvert
just
all
doing my own thing,
expectation.
subvert things. Like, I get some people like his movie, but it is, a little more divisive than the other films.
And
but
hopefully his like hands-on characters that we already know and are familiar with is minimal, because if they're brand new characters, sure, he can do whatever he wants. It still has to feel like Star Wars to some degree, but whatever he's going to make is not going to feel Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's going to be like Star Wars adjacent. Is how
I feel like Robot Chicken.
Yeah, probably.
Gosh.
Yeah, it really depends on what he does. If he does something where it's like the lower level of the Death Star right before it blows up or something.
The janitors.
Something like that. Like, I could see it. Like, but at the same time, it does have to still feel like it belongs in the Star Wars universe. So I don't know. I would say pass and just give it to someone else.
Yeah, just cancel his movie.
stay
That's what I'm
away.
saying.
Yeah.
I think we could all say trash.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Trash.
So moving on to the bigger news that we wanted to talk about is we've been talking about this. It feels like for years. What we've been saying.
It feels like forever.
Yeah, it feels like forever. Give Dave Filoni the keys to the Star Wars kingdom, and it looks like that's what's happened. There was a big article on, it was Variety, right?
Yeah, Variety.
Anthony Breznican wrote this big article about the future of Star Wars. It covered kind of the Ahsoka show, Hayden Christensen coming back, and the big news that dropped was Dave Filoni is chief creative officer. So he's kind of going to be, everything's going to be
everything has to
everything's
be
coming through
greenlit
him. And he
said
gets
yes and no.
he has a quote there. He's like, before I would kind of like, they'd ask me to see things, but they
Like
were
a
already
consultant.
way in advance. Like they would already way down the line. He's like, this I'm going to see way before anything happens. So
Where is that in the hierarchy of? I mean, because Kathleen Kennedy's still
Underneath Kathleen.
president of
Yeah.
Lucasfilm.
I assume he would be, as far as like the creative stuff going on.
He's top.
He's like,
She's green. She's paying the bills.
right.
Like
Right.
she's okaying the financials. He's
at the
okaying
top of the
creative
stuff.
he's
Okay.
saying like, yeah,
he is
that
the
sounds
Kevin
like a good
Feige.
movie.
He is the
That's
the
good.
gate. He is
That's where he needs to be.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because they even said, I think Kathleen Kennedy and is it Carrie Beck?
Yeah.
I think is the other CEO. They were like they're more focused on getting directors in to come to Star Wars.
Okay.
Like they're more on the more like a producer side of like, hey, let's get these interesting
Okay.
directors to come in, play in the sandbox,
and
basically.
he's taking those directors to school.
And that's right. And then he's on the creative side of like, let's look at all these projects, see if it fits
Cool.
what we're doing.
yeah.
At least that's how at least they made it sound in the article, which is like super exciting.
Yeah, he's in the right spot then.
Yeah, that's exactly what we needed. I think there's a section of fans that are going to boo any aspect of Disney Star Wars. So I was even seeing some people being like, well, Dave Filoni's washed anyways. Like, he doesn't. And I was like, these guys have already made their living getting clicks, hating. So
They had to
if
keep it
George
going.
Lucas came back and said, hey, I just bought Star Wars back, they'd be like, boo, George Lucas, because they've already
That gave us the prequels.
so I just think this is really a good step in the right direction. And I think, especially if he can make a cohesive story, I think what the biggest problem with the sequel trilogy was there wasn't a plan.
Yep.
And it was like given to one person and then given to another person and then another person, then switched and given back to another person because they panicked. And the story's not cohesive. But if you can get Dave Filoni to tell a story, and they've set up some pretty cool stuff in Ahsoka. So if they can give us a cohesive story, I think there's a way to get, by the time we get episode 10, 11, and 12, to really have something that's set up. So I'm excited for this. Corey, what do you think?
I think that he's the right man, and I think we should be more excited about this because this is huge.
Yeah.
Like we've always praised him for what he's created, and we really enjoy everything that he does. And there's a lot of stuff that we didn't like that other people were making, and so it's just super relieving, I think, to kind of see that they're going to trust in him. Like
Yeah.
they wouldn't even like let him do live action stuff like 2 years ago, and now he's going to be controlling everything. That's what an amazing, and apparently it happened earlier this year. They just couldn't announce it until after the strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's already been doing it, which is awesome too.
Yeah.
Because that, and then also throughout that, they also did a soft green light to Ahsoka 2. And in that interview, they talked about Ray William. No, what's his name?
Ray Stevenson.
Stevenson. I almost said Williamson. That his story's going to pay off to some degree, and people aren't sure if they're going to recast or what they're going to do. But Dave Filoni said his storyline is going to pay
There's
off,
more to be told.
which is like sick.
Yeah. Well, and he
so it's
mentioned,
exciting.
he also mentioned, he himself like mentioned the Mortis gods, right?
Yeah.
And that whole
But
aspect
that's
of like,
that's canon right now.
right.
Yeah.
But even the fact that he mentioned that and saying there's something with that gets me excited to be like, okay, we're going into kind of a different, for mainstream Star Wars,
Yes.
right? For the niche Star Wars fans who've seen all Clone Wars and all that, that's always been there. But to get something in the
video
mainstream
games, yeah.
of that, to me, that's exciting because I feel like that's going on a little more like more mythological epic, more fantasy.
I call it more fantasy. Yeah.
As opposed to, sci-fi kind of aspect. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. And I think there's some really cool things that could
Yeah,
happen.
I think Night Sisters are going to be more of a thing moving forward, and that kind of aspect of the Force, kind of a more magical
Yeah.
take on the Force, which is cool, which is interesting. I can see where people would be not so happy, though. The people who really like how the classics are.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit removed from where we originally started, but stories need to innovate. They need
Yeah.
to be fresh. You can't just rehash the first episode in the next trilogy and just do it shot for shot, storyline by storyline. You have to make a unique storyline. And I think Dave Filoni's one of the only probably Andor and him, they've done unique stories that have really taken people, like with Clone Wars and stuff like that, just really good stories.
Yeah. What about, I think one of the things that excites me the most is they talk a lot about Hayden Christensen coming back. And I actually think he's going to be a big part moving forward. I think you have to explain, in my mind, why we never saw Hayden Christensen or Anakin talking to Luke in the sequel trilogy. That to me is a huge plot hole that I'm like, why wouldn't you see him at the end of Return of the Jedi? He appears to Luke, right? And then there's no mention of him at all throughout. I was like, you'd think there would be some communion with his own son, right? So I think
he'll try to fix that mistake.
I think there's a cool story to be told, what we've already talked about, where Anakin becomes the father. He's not a Force ghost anymore, he wouldn't be in that situation. Does that make sense? He now is more on a grander scale than just a Force ghost.
Why couldn't he still talk to Luke then? Because he's basically a god.
Because when have you seen a Mortis god appear?
We've only seen him in 2 episodes.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying. But the whole point is you can establish something. The Mortis gods don't interact with just random people. They only interact with the chosen one. So if he now becomes the father, then that's a great way for there to be like, that's why he wasn't around. Because I just think there's a cool story to be told in between those years that could be 3 movies, whatever the case may be, that makes Hayden Christensen kind of a focal point, which I'm totally here for. He's still at an age where he can do it. I think it would be awesome to get a trilogy with Anakin Skywalker, Force Ghost. Like, that would be sick.
Bro, he can't be the lead
yeah,
character.
He could be an important aspect.
Return of the Ghost.
He could be, if it's more about him becoming a Mortis god in that aspect and goes more towards that fantasy realm, I think there's a way you could do it. And you do it with Ahsoka, and you do it with him, and you recast Ray Stevenson, and you have the 3 do something. I think that would be really cool. And I think it's a possibility with Dave Filoni, because he's crazy like that.
Well, Ahsoka's alive, and so is, the character.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Baylan.
Yeah, Baylan. So
would you not? So to the 3 of you, would you guys not want to see Hayden Christensen as Force Ghost Anakin or whatever the case may be, like have a prominent role in kind of either a trilogy or at least another movie?
I would love to see more of him, especially after
like him.
Ahsoka. He was great in that, and like you said, there's more. Just because they're Force ghosts doesn't mean their story has to end.
Yeah.
There's still countless stuff that they could do with that. Yeah, I think the reason for him not appearing to Luke is just because he was, giving him the silent treatment because Luke was misbehaving. He was being a bad boy.
Yeah.
You're in a timeout.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I would. Yeah, absolutely. More Anakin.
You guys aren't sold on this?
I'm not sold on this concept of we have 3 whole movies where Anakin is doing stuff as a Force ghost. Like, it just feels pretty out there for me. So, like, what can he do as a Force ghost?
The difference is he's not just Anakin. He's the chosen one. So there's a difference. You differentiate him from every other Force ghost because he is the balance. He is now the father. He's taken that role. Yeah. So there's a way you can explain that side of the Force only through him and the World Between Worlds. And you can do plenty of stuff. They gave us a little taste of him teaching Ahsoka through flashbacks and stuff. You can do plenty of stuff where it's Anakin going into other parts of the history of Star Wars, and he doesn't look like a Force ghost. You're seeing all this other stuff. He is able to do that. I think he's
like the ghost of Christmas Past is what he is.
Basically, he's able to do that. Okay. But I just think you could get away with doing some stuff like that while he then in real time is explaining stuff to Ahsoka. I think that would be interesting. And it goes into a more mythic, crazy world. But I think, like Corey said, at some point you have to
go
wade into those waters because you can't just keep doing the same thing with like another bad group of people have come, another empire, and now we got to get this young person that's been hidden, the Force Awakens in them, and now they're gonna, you can't. There has to be something that you can go into that's more of a mystical hero's journey.
Star Wars has always been a fantasy, wrapped with sci-fi. So go into the fantasy more. Yeah.
Yeah. The only aspect I love Anakin, and I it's too bad he's dead. But
Rip.
Here's the put him as a tertiary support character, and you're good. You sold me on it. But as the lead, no, because there's no real weight to the story. There's no risk. There's no heroes. I mean, there's some hero story, but like I feel like his hero story is fully crested, and so like he's been redeemed.
Yeah.
So there's not much there for me as far as weight in a story there, but the effect that he can have on other people has already been shown through his connection with Ahsoka. So yeah, there's that where like Yoda's appeared several times in the movies to come back and guide.
Yeah.
And I agree. He can have more than that if he's the father, right? I mean, it's the closest thing to a god deity.
Yeah.
Right? A true one. So, yeah. I mean, there's no hurt in having him come back. I'm just worried about, putting everything on him. You got to invest in Ahsoka.
Well, maybe not.
Or whoever the main characters are. Because I don't think it's going to be a one-person show. It's going to be like a band of 3 or 4.
And maybe I misspoke. Maybe not as a lead, but as an important part of.
Like, because would you call like Yoda an important part of the story? In the original trilogy?
Like an empire? Yeah.
So yeah, I could totally see it that level, 100%, and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, I see him more like maybe the lead is Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, but he's like a big part of it. Yeah. Like he's showing up constantly and like doing you'll see him in flashbacks. You see
maybe guidance and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I do think we're gonna get. I think Dave Filoni's leading up to giving us a Mark Hamill, Luke, and Anakin.
Yeah,
conversation, or
then that'd be great.
Or what would be great was
that'd be great.
Ahsoka, Anakin, and Luke, like having all 3 of those people together in one scene.
And then Han flies in on the Millennium Falcon. And he's like, Leia gets off, and Chewie does also. Exactly. Boom,
and R2 goes.
They're all together.
And Chewie has his medal.
R2D2, it is you, it is you. Tears. Not a dry eye in the. All right, we're gonna move on.
Anyway, our dreams have come true.
Exactly.
We're very excited about Star Wars.
Itself.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was it for news, right? So we're going on to the.
Yeah.
We're going on to a little segment we're gonna do here. Josh, go ahead and press that. It's that one right there. Yeah.
Let's just agree to disagree. No, you're wrong.
It is agree to disagree.
Okay.
If you don't know, that's from the Office episode.
Okay.
Look at this guy, top 10.
Not the funniest moment, but okay.
Well, they said agree to disagree.
Nice. Nice work.
So I've got 8 questions. They're statements. They're not questions.
Okay.
They're statements.
Just raise your voice at the end of your sentence.
And then
I like pizza.
What's going to happen is you're either gonna agree with it or disagree with it.
Sure.
And you need to tell us why you agree or not. Okay?
Yeah.
So again, first one's pretty easy. Okay.
What is this? Okay, is this random stuff?
It's just random stuff.
Okay, let's run it.
It could be a pizza then.
I hope it is, yeah.
The Office is the greatest comedy show of all time.
I'm going to start.
Okay.
Because I just rewatched The Office probably 2 months ago. I went through it all.
Okay.
I disagree.
Okay.
And that's because it falls off a cliff the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It is that last season. What is that? 8? Whatever
8,
it is.
9.
Once Steve Carell leaves.
Can we alter this a little bit?
Maybe. We'll see.
Hey, I still really love The Office, but if we're looking at it full body of work, those last 2 seasons, the one after Steve Carell leaves,
you just don't watch it.
It's okay.
You stop watching.
That last
That's the
season is unbearable.
It's terrible.
It's hard to get through.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing funny going on. So I disagree.
Okay,
It is not
disagree.
the greatest.
What would be your greatest?
Seinfeld.
Corey, agree or disagree?
I agree because after you just don't watch those last two. But think about it. They're some of the most iconic, most quotable, most memorable, probably most rewatched episodes of all time in season. I'm going to be honest. I was talking to a coworker of mine and he was like, yeah, I love The Office, but you got to skip season 1. I'm like, no, you don't.
No,
season
one's
1's
good.
hilarious.
Yeah.
He's like, what episode's good? I'm like, dude, the basketball episode is hilarious, dude. That's season 1.
The warehouse.
I was like, bro, get out of here. You don't even remember. So yeah, first 5 seasons, I think it is, right? 5 seasons.
He leaves in the middle of 7.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of
That's not-
episodes.
hey.
That is a solid. It is so rock
Ryan
solid.
started the fire.
I'm gonna be honest. You're laughing. Oh, sorry. If you got to get,
get
sense of
humor.
humor, you're at least finding moments of enjoyment in every episode, and they are iconic. So yes, I will
I
put
agree.
my name on that. I agree.
For the same reason that Josh said, I'm going to say no. Those last 2 seasons are just borderline unwatchable. They have no direction. They're changing characters completely. There's
Andy Bernard.
Andy
is like
becomes
a completely,
Michael, and
Yeah.
he does a terrible job. Like it's awful. It's terrible. I agree. Every season with Steve Carell is great, solid. If it was just those seasons, I would probably put it at the top. But it falls hard.
It's kind of like Scrubs. They tried to keep going.
Same
and
way.
it was just like, ugh,
Same way.
No.
Same way.
All right.
Well, you ignore it. And Scrubs is different. You ignore that last because it's a different.
Different studio.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Writers left,
Yeah.
and Steve Carell was soft forced out. Like he was encouraged to find other opportunities and stuff like that. So it wasn't. I'm not
Fools.
like honestly, it's kind of messed up to judge it by other people's decisions. I feel bad for Steve Carell because he made probably the best body of work for comedy, and it was one of the last things since kind of comedy's gone downhill since then.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of. I mean, you guys are talking about Seinfeld. That was way before The Office, and so. I mean, I think Steve Carell told him, said it for himself. He's like, yeah, you can't really do The Office anymore. So it's like, I don't know. It's like this last bastion of light of comedy. And it's like,
They're supposedly
the remake,
doing a
remaking
spinoff,
it. Yeah.
or he said it's a spinoff. I
remake.
guess
I thought it was a remake.
he said it takes place in the same, just like a couple weeks ago.
It's The Office. What if?
Ugh.
It's the warehouse
I
only.
think that's a mistake. I obviously disagree with this statement. I think there's Seinfeld's better. I like Scrubs more. I actually like Malcolm in the Middle more than The Office.
Yeah, we know that.
But
yeah.
number 2, I don't think this is going to be one that's very contentious between us, but I think it's out there.
You just wait.
Star Wars is better than Star Trek.
Oh,
Well, let me think about it.
Once.
I know there's there are
name
Star
the
Trek
people.
fans out there that really Will Dobrats really likes.
Friend of the show, Will Dobrats.
He
And there's some
really likes.
just great episodes in Next Generation.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. In terms of the overall body of work that is Star Wars compared to Star Trek, I mean, it's pretty easy to go with Star Wars,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
I agree.
William Riker. That's right. That's his name.
Data.
Jordy.
Once he got the red outfit, it got way better.
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, Jordy. What do you guys?
yeah, Star Wars,
is this
obviously,
pretty
bro.
easy?
Yeah,
that's-
it's pretty
that's-
easy.
yeah, that's-
No disrespect to Star Trek.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't watched. I remember watching Next Generation a lot. Some older episodes of,
Yeah.
but I haven't.
A Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
obviously.
I watched the original
Jesus,
Star
that's
Trek.
heavy.
And hey, man, for its time, bro,
Oh, absolutely. First,
Really?
first
Really
generational kiss.
really amazing.
I mean, it did things, but I prefer Star Wars. I know
all
there's a lot of fans of Star Trek out there.
We all do.
Which I'll say this too. I actually enjoyed the new Star. I know a lot of people didn't, but the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot, I thought were really good. I liked
they were
his
good.
first 2. I liked Into Darkness, even though people didn't. But
I just watched those recently, and they still are I've always liked.
Yeah,
those. I think
Chris
they're
Pine
great.
is awesome.
I didn't really like the third one, but
Yeah, that one.
the first two,
I don't think I
think
ever
they're great.
watched the third one.
they're great.
Beyond is that one?
Beyond is the third. Was that Wan that did that? James Wan?
Was it?
I think so.
I think so.
Number 3, agree or disagree? Again, this is one I think is pretty easy, but I was going to do a little button where you could press and become the devil's advocate, but I couldn't find a good clip. Just Al Pacino.
We're the devils.
Al Pacino yelling in the devil's advocate with Keanu Reeves, but that wouldn't work. The Lord of the Rings is the best movie trilogy ever made. Is there a better trilogy than the Lord of the Rings?
I
Back
agree
to the
with
Future?
This. I agree with this statement.
Okay, agreed.
There is no better trilogy beginning to end.
I second that. It's a perfect trilogy.
The people say The Godfather.
No, that
No?
is incorrect.
Corey, can you think of any?
I'm trying to think. Trilogies. are
Planet
hard
of
to
the
do.
Apes, Harry Potter. I mean, we're gonna go
All those
more
are
than
trilogies.
Well, we're gonna go like you can pick any three
series?
movies,
Any
any
three
three
plus,
movies
three
in
plus.
Harry Potter.
Oh,
Any 3, so I can take like 1, 4,
Sure.
8.
and 8. Yeah.
Will it make it? Is it better?
No.
It's technically perfect if you do it that way. Gosh, yeah.
I don't think there is. I think.
Back
Oh,
to
let him answer. Jeez.
You could argue the Dark Knight trilogy.
Okay.
You could argue.
So Back to the
No.
Future isn't. Yeah, dang it.
Back to the Future is a trilogy.
Yeah, but well, it kind of the last one's kind of meh. But
I like the.
I
last
like
one.
it. I like
I
it.
love
But I'm
the
just
last
saying,
one.
we're talking about the best of the best. Good, dude.
I think Hans Zimmer wrote that.
He's amazing.
Hans Zimmer was too. When that was written. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lord of the Rings is the best. But I think that there's contenders. I think, yeah, Dark Knight Rises. I think also Back to the Future also is up there as well. But I think it goes for me, Lord of the Rings, Dark Knight Rises, Back to the Future. Those are my top 3. Bang, bang, bang. But yeah, I'll agree with your statement.
I think we all agree. I was trying to think about
I feel
it.
like
And
if
I was
we
like,
didn't agree on that, we wouldn't be friends, guys.
I'm trying to even think of other trilogies.
Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, was that a trilogy?
Well, it was 3 movies. We didn't get the last 2.
Okay, sounds good.
The new Planet of the Apes, I think, is pretty good, but not
that's a good
not
one.
at the level of Lord of the Rings. The thing with Lord of the Rings is it's technically the amount of effort it took. Like, they were massive movies.
Well, they
and
filmed
that they
them all
were
at the same
filmed them
time.
at the same time. That just makes it so cohesive.
Right.
It's
That
just
people thought.
such a lightning in a bottle situation.
Well, yeah, and people thought it was
So-
impossible to make those movies,
Yeah.
to make those books into
Yeah.
movies, and to actually pull them off and be really good. I just
So
think that-
many pieces just aligned, and I think they're perfect movies.
A lot of love and a lot of sweat and tears went into that for sure.
of ours, like personally.
All of us,
Yeah,
everyone
You're
We
welcome.
worked hard.
contributed.
Number 4. I have a feeling this one's going to be one that there's a little difference on. PC gaming is vastly superior to console.
Vastly superior.
Vastly.
Well, how about we just say superior?
Superior. Okay.
Okay, because I don't think I can answer that one.
Okay.
Let's define our terms. What do you mean by superior?
Yeah. What do you mean superior?
Better.
Superior for me?
Just better on all,
All shapes and sizes.
like overall.
Technically,
just better.
overall.
Just overall.
Here's a little anecdote for you, Corey. My 11-year-old, 12-year-old brother, somewhere around there.
You have a 12-year-old brother.
He came to my dad and he was like, you know what? I have a PS4. I really want a PC. I am willing to sell my PS4 and save up probably for 2 years to buy a PC, and I won't play any video games in those 2 years so I can get a PC.
Dang, dude.
That's from a 12-year-old.
11 or 12.
He's more wise than half the people at the table. Whoever that is, what's his name?
Carter.
Carter? My man.
Shout out to Carter.
Carter, I would love to help you out. Tell Carter that, and I will contribute some PC parts. I've got some pieces I can help him out.
Okay.
Dang.
See,
You're a
that-
lucky man, Carter.
PC gamers, they stand side by side and support each other. Okay, all right. That's the kind of community.
So you agree then? PC gaming is superior than console.
I do, because I can do console gaming on my PC. Sorry, emulators. It's free. Sorry. It's just
Just facts.
It's just the same thing. The only thing that you can say is that you might have a harder time doing the Nintendo Switch controls. You can still do it though. It's just not exactly authentic. Okay. But you can emulate all the games. It's stupid.
I mean, I personally prefer just doing a console because I'm a moron and console's easy.
It's easy. Yeah.
I recognize that PC has way more, of a horizon than consoles do. You can do so much more with PCs,
And you can do graphic design as well.
You can do whatever.
You can't do that on a console.
You can make movies.
You can draw on a console.
You can make Star Wars, bro.
Yeah.
Josh?
I'm in the same boat. Ignorance is bliss. You know what I mean? And even if I did have a PC, I wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's like when I
coming from the guy who does 3D printing,
Yeah.
and is on his PC.
That's a good point. I do need
cut and split. And
I do need.
print
I do need
amazing 3D
I do
models.
need a. I do need a new
You
computer.
can 3D print off a Switch.
He's like, but that's strictly for work.
No.
Play
So
console.
we will say. What was the question?
What's superior?
PC gaming is
PC
superior.
gaming. See, PC gaming.
Yeah.
We're cutting out the whole work aspect here.
Okay.
He introduced that.
That's what.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just
That's all I'm saying.
gaming.
So I do. It's like when Android phones were kind of newer, and people were like, "Oh, you can do so much stuff with it." I got an Android, and I was like, I kind of just like the simple.
Yeah, but that's not
Whatever
the
you
same.
go, iPhone. I'm just doing that.
That's like between Xbox and PS5. Sure.
So I agree. It is vastly superior, but for me, it doesn't.
I think it takes a big man to identify it and understand it and be able to admit it. And so to you,
yeah, bro,
I shake your hand and I respect you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys both did it. You guys are a bunch of wimps. Of course, I disagree. Consoles are vastly superior.
Wait, Corey, you didn't shake my hand.
Yeah. 100%. There you go. And Carter's hand as well.
Carter?
Shout out
Carter,
to
you
Carter.
got a new freaking
friend for
graphics
life,
card
bro.
coming up.
That's right.
Wait, Carter, make sure you subscribe to our channel first
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
you get into
exactly.
this free
Carter,
stuff,
come on.
okay?
No, you're probably right. I don't know much.
I mean, you said superior.
Yeah.
What I would have said is which one's more fun.
Oh.
And for you guys,
That would have changed
console's
my
way
answer.
more fun.
Yeah.
There is some technicality to PC gaming. Like sometimes you have to update your drivers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and using the mouse. I mean, come on.
But you plug your controller in, bro. It shows how much you don't know.
Yeah, but haven't you seen the dudes that
Corey's
play?
still using a joystick.
Haven't you
back
seen the
there.
people
Bro,
that play
I'm
with
doing
them?
like a
Haven't you seen the
Pac-Man
people that
joystick.
play with those like the mouse with like a bunch of
Haven't
buttons?
you seen
Yeah.
them? We've seen them.
Yeah, bro. Haven't you seen them?
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to. Those guys.
I play Rocket League with a controller. I play a lot of top-down fun battling games with controllers. It's super fun. I use PS4 controller. I should get a PS5 controller. That one looks way more comfortable.
GameCube. You should use a
PS5.
GameCube. A Wavebird, bro.
Get a N64,
you can.
N64 controller, dude.
Oh
yeah,
the yellow one, dude.
No,
The
dude.
banana.
NES. NES.
Oof.
If you're a real man, NES.
Yeah, square up.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. Hans Zimmer is a better composer than John Williams. I 100% agree with that statement. Hans Zimmer is 100% a better composer than John Williams.
Better. So technically better,
don't-
or
I'm just
like
saying.
has
Yeah.
better results.
I'm just saying,
do you
however you
mean
want to
better?
take it. However you want to take it.
Better.
For me, Hans Zimmer is better because I feel like I resonate more emotionally with his soundtracks than I do John Williams. I think John Williams is amazing.
So that has nothing to do with Hans Zimmer. That has everything to do with you.
Well, but it does have something to do with Hans Zimmer because he invokes that in me. If he didn't, it's just about him. So for me, I think Hans Zimmer is better. I play more of his soundtracks than I do of John Williams. I find myself over the years going back to more of Hans Zimmer.
What's the Oscar count?
I mean, the Oscars, Christopher Nolan doesn't even have an Oscar.
Well, he's a bad director.
Well, he's not. If we want to use the Oscar argument, then there's so many people that didn't
there's no
deserve
other
Oscars.
way. We have to quantify it by the best, winning the best thing that in this sphere is the Oscar.
No, I
That's
said
the
it's
only
better.
way.
I didn't say best is better.
Okay, so yeah, better than
that term could
better
be
than John
whatever.
Williams.
But how do you want to identify better as?
Well, right now you're identifying as based off
Hans Zimmer-
how it makes you
So
tingle.
I
Hans Zimmer
agree.
is taller.
I agree with Hans Zimmer being better than John Williams. Mick, what do you say?
I mean, I don't like the verbiage because I like both of them, but I prefer Hans
offense
Zimmer.
to it.
Clickbait.
I prefer it is clickbait. Yeah, John Williams is trash.
Agree to disagree, guys. This is what it's all about.
I prefer Hans Zimmer scores. I like you. It just invokes a more emotional response for me. They're so vastly different in their styles. I mean, you can clearly tell a Hans Zimmer score from a John Williams score. That's why I like them both because they're just so unique to each other. I just personally prefer Hans Zimmer stuff. But I mean, you look at John Williams' work, it's like he has every single, memorable score from my childhood. Like I mean, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, E.T., like Jaws, it just goes on and on and on. So
Dang.
they're both amazing. But
So you agree, John Williams?
I personally prefer, like, if you ask me to flip on, or what was the last score I listened to, it was from The Last Samurai, A Hard Teacher. I can't tell you the last time I listened to I'm going to listen to a John Williams soundtrack.
Boom.
If you want to, never mind.
So, what do you guys? The floor is yours.
For me, I'm with Mick. I just think the question is
Okay.
Clickbait.
What is
the
this?
premise.
What are we comparing
That's
here?
what the point of this segment
This
is.
could be the title of the video.
I will say I disagree because I do think even though I love Hans Zimmer and I listen to his soundtracks all the time, I think for me John Williams has more iconic pieces. And so if we're going based off of that, of saying like you can just start humming a tune and people would be like, that's the Superman theme, that's the Raiders March, all these different themes that like all the Star Wars music, like iconic themes. I gotta give it to my band, Johnny Williams.
You can also hum the chicken dance, and everybody knows what that is.
That is true. It's a good point. No.
The most annoying songs ever. The most easily hummable.
When someone starts humming the
I know what you
Raiders
mean, though.
March,
I know what you mean, though,
you
yeah.
get up, you're like,
I mean, if you ask me to hum
Yeah, but
The
what if,
Dark Knight, I get it. Yeah.
but what if someone goes dun 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 dun, bum bum
Yeah, none of these things
bum bum bum.
that's good, but
But it goes back to their differences. John Williams writes melodies,
Right.
And yeah,
and more often than not, Hans Zimmer's like 1,000 drums and some lady wailing in the background.
Razor
Yeah.
blades on violin strings for the jokers.
Yeah.
See,
And
Dog,
that's
what
why-
about you?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you've
go ahead.
spoken
No,
to.
I was gonna say that's why I honestly don't like most of the melodic stuff in The Dark Knight is James Newton Howard.
Mm-hmm.
He does all the themes, and then Hans Zimmer was like, "Let's get some computers in here and make some freaking like you said, razor blades on strings." And I'm like, I can't listen to that. You know what I mean? That's not pleasant to listen to. So, James Newton Howard, number 2. John Williams 1, Hans Zimmer 3. Take it away, Corey.
I'm not qualified to do this. I don't know, bro. It's like I'm not talking about like regular music. This is movie music. So it's different. Yeah, you guys basically hit it all.
Yeah, but do you agree or disagree?
I'm not listening to any of these on my off time. You know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Do you not listen to any soundtracks? Like if you're just like in the mood to listen to a soundtrack, do you like? Because I know the music from what's that show that we all really liked? Space Mountain.
Ahsoka.
No, the animated show that we all watched that they're making the second one.
What if?
Arcane.
Oh, Arcane.
Like the soundtrack to that. Do you ever listen to like game soundtracks, or is that something you don't even in general?
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, not like not like when I'm gaming or anything like that.
In your free time,
when
like
I'll
when
play
you're working.
D&D, there will be some soundtracks that I use from movies and stuff like that. But Hans Zimmer stuff is like way too intense to have like ambient music. It's like way intense.
Yeah, what about the Lion King?
What about driving Miss Daisy?
Well, no. I wasn't saying John Williams was any better. See, the thing is, I think they're both two opposite extremes. Yeah. I think that one's super melody driven, like you said, Josh, and one's like crazy, intense, deep sounds and designed to rattle your brain in a theater and evoke emotions through like the sound that he creates. So it's like, very different.
But I need you to answer this question.
Yeah, what's the question?
Hans Zimmer is a better composer than John Williams. Agree or disagree? Give us your answer.
Disagree.
Okay.
I'm going to go with iconic and timeless. And yeah.
X-Men animated series
GOAT
is superior to the Batman animated series.
Which one? What's the first?
The X-Men animated series is better than the Batman animated series.
Disagree.
Yeah, I think
I disagree.
pretty
I think
well
we disagree on that.
Yeah.
The Batman animated series holds up. I've watched some of the X-Men stuff, and some of it's hard to watch.
X-Men does not hold up at all.
I like the
nostalgic though. Still,
I like the Spider-Man animated series. It's the same thing. It's super corny. It doesn't hold up.
What about when he shows the kid with cancer that he's Peter Parker?
I mean, that's that gets me in the feels. But
did I send you guys that clip of the guy?
Should we be talking about this? Did you say something?
Yeah, from the X-Men cartoon of I can't remember what the mutant is, but he's like screeching as he flies. He's like, "Whoa, Banshee!"
Oh, Banshee!
Oh my gosh, dude! Yeah, it's like Axl Rose or whatever. The X-Men cartoon is hard to watch.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one where Logan?
Oh, where he becomes a brother? That's the only good one.
That's the greatest episode.
Goes to a monastery.
He goes to a monastery and then he's like reading his Bible and he's like, what does he say at the end? He says like a Bible verse to somebody. I was like, Brother Logan, my man.
Yeah, and it's not even just the storytelling, but the animation too.
It's hard.
It's pretty choppy actually.
Even just dialogue, it's like really out of place. Like you're like, really, you're gonna cut to a commercial on that? Like, no, and it's weird. It's just a product.
And the Batman animated series. Speaking of music, the soundtrack is incredible. They used a full orchestra. That's why it's one of the most expensive like cartoons ever because of they used a orchestra to film the soundtrack for every show. That's incredible. The animation is amazing. Really good, and Kevin Conroy's voice is just absolutely iconic. So I just think, Batman animated series still holds up today.
Yeah, agreed. That's an easy one.
Sorry, guys. Next one.
Number 7. Boring.
Smash Bros. Melee is the best game of the series, of the Smash Bros. Series.
Melee is that the
Melee's the GameCube.
GameCube. It's the one that's being still played to this day, alongside Ultimate. Ultimate also is being played.
So Ultimate, you got a huge roster of characters. You got, all those more trophies, more, assist trophies, all this kind of stuff.
Too many to count.
Stages.
Too many.
Melee, iconic. The first 64 Smash Bros. I think has the greatest Samus. Overpowered. They've neutered Samus every time.
Greatest Link, I would also say. Link was really powerful in that one.
So I think in that first 64 Smash Bros. You have some of the best characters. You played that though?
It's pretty rough.
Yeah, and there's also like the nostalgia aspect of it.
I will say that the GameCube version, because the proof is there. They're still playing it to this day. The gameplay, like the feel, the way they made it was just a happy accident. And he has a glitch where you can kind of jump and dodge real quick, and your character slides, and it's become a means of just being super mobile and being really fast, and it sped the game up by 1,000,000%. So to this day, they have some of the most complicated controls, and they're ultra fast. And if you go back and try to play it yourself, you're not that fast. And so it's interesting how much depth is introduced on a bug. So for that, I will say I agree. I think Melee is the best Smash Bros. Ever made.
Okay, Josh.
Test of time.
I'm a prisoner of the moment, and I'm gonna say I disagree. I know that there's a lot of duplicates on the new one, but I go
clones and stuff. Yeah,
I go with a large roster of different types of characters. The variety that there is in all of the in this roster of the new one, I can go and play Steve, and then I can go and play a Pokemon character, and then I can go do a Street Fighter character that has the moveset from Street Fighter. Like you play them as
some of it,
some of the you can play them better if you play thinking like you're playing Street Fighter. Like the intricacy for each of the characters that exist in this current one, I think for me that makes it the best, just because of the variety.
Nice.
So does that mean more is better?
For Josh, it is.
For me, so not
Oreos
always, because there's a lot of more characters, but a lot of them are just duplicates. But you had that in the older games.
But
also.
it's like times 5 the regular roster from Melee. So it's just so much more.
But yeah, for me, I'm a sucker for.
You're a sucker.
Yeah, that's right. Quantity.
And I will say, just real quick before we move on, I play Ultimate. I don't play Melee. But I'm removing myself from that aspect where I'm saying, I don't know how these guys are still playing, but it's an amazing game still.
Mick?
I'd have to say PlayStation All-Stars.
Yo. What was that game we played?
Oh, wasn't it the WB
the
game?
WB.
Yeah.
We played Batman.
Not very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest
killer.
Nintendo person, but I'd probably say just the latest
Ultimate.
Smash Bros. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that's the one that I think is, for me, the most polished.
Yeah.
I think it's also
and-
the most accessible.
Yeah,
too.
that too.
It's easy to get into.
I'm going with Melee.
Yeah.
Main reason, I like what you're saying. There's a lot of characters. The duplicate, yeah, you can get all the stages too. But again, I feel like Melee had a stronger Samus. And I still miss
He's just
those.
basing it off of
It
Samus.
is like that. Back in the day, I could play Samus and just kill everybody.
I will say a little bit of my issue with Ultimate is that they always will release new characters, and those characters tend to be a little better than the previous ones. I don't like that when games do that.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we want you to buy the new pack because it's a little better. So I think it's a little victim of live service gameage that tries to suck every dollar out of you.
Also, Luigi was in Melee, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, way more. Whenever I do the shocker with it, like we call it, that's what we call it. you were saying
Because it hits him with lightning.
yes,
It hits him with lightning.
he shocks them.
Stop doing it. Stop doing the motion.
But
It's a lightning strike.
it's a
thing.
lightning strike.
Yeah. That's
He was way more powerful too, because he'd also do the hold up and like if you'd hit someone with that rocket thing.
He's
sent a headbutt.
He's lighter. He glides farther.
And those were my two. Samus and Luigi was like, man, that's what I'm doing, and then they were just neutered. Last one, number 8, Star Wars: The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie ever made.
what?
Agree or disagree?
Wait, Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi,
The worst.
the worst.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna hate you. I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna say disagree. Obviously,
What would you say is the worst?
Attack of the Clones is the worst.
And you have Last Jedi up as like 3, don't you?
That's right. And even if I
That's
Insanity.
crazy.
even if I didn't like the Last Jedi, Attack of the Clones still exists. So
Okay.
that's the worst movie. That is 100% the worst movie.
Yeah.
Mick would have to say. Mick would have to disagree. Would you, Mick? What do you
Great
think?
music.
I've done
Great
a
music.
180. It's my favorite.
That's right.
Whoa.
That's not the question, though. It's the question is it's the worst.
Last Jedi is the worst
Then
Star
it's
Wars.
still the word. Yeah, it's. I think I had it last time we ranked everything. I think it was at the bottom, followed extremely closely by Rise of Skywalker. But yeah,
So there's been no change.
no change. There's just so much crap about that movie that I can't get over. And a lot of it has to do with Ryan Johnson's attitude about it too. It's just the same thing with the Taika Waititi stuff. I don't like that he was just like, yeah, I'm glad it's divisive. I just, I want to make a movie that 50% of the audience hates.
Yeah. It's messed up.
I hate that mentality. It's messed up,
Yeah.
bro. Done
Corey?
messed up.
What do you think? Is it the worst Star Wars movie ever made?
Maybe Mix sold me on it. I don't know, bro. The way he's talking about it just really connects with me. I don't like being told that. I don't like it. I don't like
George Lucas actually famously said,
"Go ahead,
F you."
Yeah. Don't watch my movie.
He said, "F those kids."
He said, "This is for children, not you, Jonah." And it's like,
it's a movie for 12-year-olds.
I don't think it's the worst, but it's really close.
Yeah,
very close.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Clone War, the Attack of the Clones, is the worst one.
Yeah.
And still, even the more I think about, because we talk about this, we like to be the Bendu, Star Wars Bendu, or somewhere in the middle. There's the
you're the Bendu.
That's what we say.
You're not. I am.
Well, I feel like I'm a Bendu. I feel like I'm a Bendu because
one of many.
You're like dark side Bendu, like
barely
dark side.
Because I like the sequels more than most people.
Yeah,
I think The Force Awakens is great.
We all like it. Yeah.
Last Jedi is my least favorite of the sequels, and I think Rise of Skywalker, there's stuff in it that I absolutely love. So I'm like, there's a lot of people that hate those, and I'm like, I'm more in the middle. There's things I can say that was bad. They should have. The more the time passes, though, I think Last Jedi it drops lower and lower in my estimation. And
join me.
I think it could have been different. If it's Rian Johnson that kind of makes these decisions that I'm like, you shouldn't have done that. Because I think Snoke was a really interesting character, and he decides to kill him off. And I thought that was not. The more I think about it, it's like you should have kept Snoke into that third movie and have this big reveal of who he is. Would have been cool. If he would have ended up being like Darth Plagueis, that would have been really cool. And Rian Johnson kind of cut that out and then force them to kind of shoehorn in Palpatine.
Let's go!
So the more I think about it,
well, that's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. Because they didn't write it up.
Well, yes.
There are multiple people at fault.
I do wish Dave Filoni was
earlier.
Anyways. But still, after saying all that, it's still not the worst Star Wars movie. I still think Attack of the Clones is the worst.
Yeah, there's a lot of jank.
There's
a lot of jank.
That's a pretty bad one.
So bad, dude.
A lot of jank, dude. A lot of cringe, too.
My heart beats for the
Music.
kiss you
Music,
never
though.
gave me.
Great. There's some great moments in there, but
There is, yeah.
And I think Natalie Portman is probably at her worst in that.
Yeah.
She was
her
in the Star
acting
Wars
is
movie?
really bad in that.
But you saw some of the shots, how he directed them. It's just like,
My favorite is when she falls
When she
out,
falls-
and then
she's
she's like,
oh, and the clone comes and is like, are you all right? He's like, yes,
let's
we
go.
must go. She gets up,
bro.
Anyways.
But she looked hot.
Well, yeah, they were on Geonosis. It was crazy hot in that
Burning
desert. That's going to do it for... What does the segment even called? Agree to disagree. Yeah. I think that's it for the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We'll be back next week with more Nerd Age Podcast. See you later.
Long live Dave Filoni.
Farewell.
see ya.